not to paint too gloomy a picture. Daniel grew up in South Africa, made Aliyah 25 years ago through Bnei Akiva. He had a 20-year career in various business and high-tech and renewable energy. He's a proud father of 7 children, all born in Israel, the eldest currently serving in San Khanim. Following the discovery of the letters in a box that survived a fire that engulfed his family home, he has voluntarily dedicated a significant amount of time in Holocaust online education through an organization he founded called the Holocaust Social Media Project. Daniel.
So thanks very much, Batya and Dave, for your wonderful words and your introduction. Good evening, everybody. It really is an honor and a great pleasure to be here with you. As Dave mentioned, this has been more than a 10-year period in my life, and so this is very special. We're very proud to have partnered with Telfed and Beit Protea on this project. I'll just say a few words from a personal perspective, what this all means to me and the experience. And then, unfortunately, the keynote speaker hasn't arrived yet, so if he does arrive, great. If not, we'll see. I might have to say his speech, we'll see. Anyway, so we'll put it in 2 parts. So, here goes. I remember it as if it happened yesterday. It was a warm, sunny spring Sunday in Johannesburg, South Africa in 2007. Like any immigrant from South Africa, I longed for a few things such as biltong and summer thunderstorms. As many of you know, lazy Sundays to relax and enjoy family time is right at the top of the list. On one of those lazy Sundays, I was helping my late mom, Aliyah Shalom, clean out the garage during one of my business trips in South Africa. I knew the old trunk was dead. We had moved it around many times while growing up, making room for the table tennis, or when we wanted to paint the walls, turning the garage into our playroom. From time to time we may have peeked inside, but we never opened the brown paper package placed in it. It seemed too important, too mysterious. Like if we had opened it up, we might have uncovered family secrets that would change the course of our lives. Little did I know that's exactly what was about to happen. On that day I said to myself, if not now, then when? If not me, then who? So with my father's permission, I untied the brown string, tightly holding the old brown wax paper, neatly folded, sealing these papers for over 40 years. See, my grandfather was killed in a car accident in 1970. I never met my grandfather. Immediately I noticed these papers were important. They were so well organized, perfectly aligned. The person who had wrapped them up treated them as if they were the manuscript to one of the books of the Torah itself. After spreading the letters on my parents' dining room table, noticing they were written in German, I realized that it was not going to be a quick project. I noticed 1 or 2 letters in English and started to read. One was to a friend in England describing Ralph's first few impressions of South Africa, and another was a detailed description of what happened to his parents during the war to a family friend in Sweden. Then, while not knowing German, I was able to recognize the conventional letter format, so I could see to whom the letter was written, who was the author, and what was the date. I was able to discern the location of the letter, the dates, the names, of people and places. Suddenly, shivers came down my spine. Tears began to flow from my eyes. I remember it as if it was yesterday. The realization that I was revealing deeply buried family secrets washed over my soul. And so the journey to discover my family's history began on that day and continues until this day. Thousands of hours, many volunteers located around the world. Thanks to the internet and email, for the first time in Israel, you'll get to a peer into one family's experience during those challenging days and experience the emotion, the tragedy, the humor, the happiness and the sadness. The exhibition you're about to view focuses on how my family's story unfolds, which is a kind of blueprint for hundreds and thousands of families who experience the same horrors of the darkest event in human history. So why should we be gathered here today, telling the Schwab story or any other family story for that matter? And what makes this type of story so unique? I believe the importance of such a story is that it doesn't focus on the death camps, which of course is such an important component of the Holocaust. Neither does it describe a daring escape from the Nazi Gestapo's clutches during an intense few days. I never could relate to such extraordinarily horrors, to such an extent that until I found these letters, I found it hard to believe the Shoah happened as described by historians. Even me, someone who grew up in the Jewish day school system. Rather, the unique aspect of this story is that it offers a complete and full description of one regular family, a representative of the masses of victims who had no unusual escape or Hollywood-worthy tale to tell. A family whose life was totally intertwined with German society and culture while remaining authentic, traditionally observant, practicing Jews. The details are so specific and numerous that it would be impossible for this story to be fabricated. The letters were not written in order to be published. In fact, even until the 1960s, my grandfather, Rudy, wrote that he considered burning the entire collection. So great was his wish to forget and escape the horrors. It also describes the easily forgotten victims of the Holocaust, those who had reached safer shores, yet had to rebuild their lives without family, without friends, without language or a social network to depend on. It tells a story of longing, anguish, pain, experienced across oceans and across generations. It teaches us the importance of recording history. Just think, I never even met my grandfather. Look at me. And yet through these letters, I don't think I know any of my other grandparents in such detail, despite many hours spending time with them over the years when I was a child. So if someone now asks me, how do we remember? How do we never forget? I say, tell your story loud and clear and authentically. Show your pain, show your tears, and at the same time show your bravery, your ability to carry on, to rebuild your life, a family, a nation, and write it down. Record your history. Celebrate what we have accomplished, and who we have become. Stay true to your ancestors and to their values. This is my vow. This is my promise to myself and anyone who wishes to listen. Do not be embarrassed. Do not be ashamed. We have overcome, and we will continue to overcome. So those are some personal words. I guess when I wrote them, I didn't realize how powerful they would be for me. I think what's left to say is thank you to so many people. I definitely do not deserve the attention that I got a few minutes ago. First and foremost, the Kushlik and Kaplan Family Foundation, the late Mendel Kaplan's family, who, bottom line, they believed in this project from day one. I remember Oren and his mother invited me for dinner one night. I couldn't believe it. I was startled. Why would they be interested in such a project? So thank God there's a recording of this. So Oren and your family, really thank you so much for everything. Obviously to Dr. Shirley Gilbert, who also believed so much in this project. Tali Nates as well, who's the director of the Holocaust Museum in Johannesburg. South African Jewish Museum, Gavin Morris, director. Obviously Telfed and Dave, all his tremendous work. There's many other people who over the years have helped me and helped us get this together. Please God, this is the beginning. It's a traveling exhibition, and one of the reasons why it's so important, and hopefully this will initiate a movement, just like Dave said, is how do we get other people to tell their story? That is at least my hope and vision for this, so we can continue telling this story in many schools and other places in Israel and around the world. It's already been shown in Cape Town, in Joburg, Durban, Sydney, Australia, Hanau, Germany. We're talking to people in Canada and England and the US as well. B'nai Brit have been a tremendous support in Australia, and we hope that we can build relationships globally. But as I say, it's not just about the Schwab family. This is a model hopefully for others. And with that, yeah, this, please God, will be seen as the beginning of something tremendous. And hopefully we will play our small role in combating anti-Semitism and hatred and all the other terrible ills that we need to deal with. So that's what I had prepared. We can all. Unfortunately, the keynote speaker is not here, so I'm not sure if we even. What do you think, Dave?
Summarize his story, what he would have said.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess I will say a few things, and I think, you know, we can use this time for question and answer, and I'm sure that's probably more productive. You might have some questions. Hopefully, you're curious, and we can have a few minutes, if that's okay. But Dr. Grive is a tremendous historian, and he's a very busy, you know, person. So I you know, have no. I'm sure there's a good reason why he wasn't able to attend. He read the book, and I think the main thing, again, I'm not going to tell the story as he wrote it down, but he's kind of paraphrased the story. There is a book, so anyone who wants to read the book, you can go onto Amazon or Book Depository, or just come to me and I'll facilitate, help you get a copy of the book. But I think you know, the bottom line is the importance of everyone coming out and starting to tell the stories. We don't realize how many stories are buried in other people's garages and attics and other places. I mean, you know, we're living amongst survivors, and in some way all of us are survivors. We've all got a story to tell, and I think that was his message. Is here's a way that we can use some documents which are in quite unique thing. You know, fortunately, we were able to save them. But look, what even a few letters, 1 or 2 letters, can spark a conversation with your children. You know, I've got children from 20 to the age 6, and obviously, you know, we're very careful not to overburden them with the story. But it does trigger from time to time, when they are comfortable about it, to talk about it and ask questions. And as someone who grew up without a history, I honestly thought I was born in South Africa, and my whole family started in South Africa. And I had absolutely no idea the connection I had with my history. And so, you know, for some people that's fine, okay. But I think a lot of people, it's an enriching experience when you get to connect with your history. And, you know, fortunately we're around people who have so much to tell, so many stories, so many experiences. And I want to encourage, especially this crowd, to tell your stories to your children, your grandchildren, and open up. My grandfather didn't say a word to my father. He went to a Roman Catholic boarding school from the age of 9. Okay, he knew nothing. This is all brand new to him. He's 77, and he's now discovering who his father was, who his family was. So if you have buried stories, tell them. It's important, it helps. It's not easy, but it's important. I think that's more than enough for now, and thank you. Please enjoy the exhibition.
So
That's the documentary.
yeah, we're going to show a short film, but if there are any questions, maybe Daniel would like to take a couple of questions, if you have any.
Sure.
Anybody? Yes.
Just a quick question.
Yeah.
Have you taken the exhibition to Gentile communities, and if so, what has the reaction been?
So I've spoken to some groups, not the actual exhibition, but I've talked about the story. What's very interesting, at Hebrew University, we did a session last year, and there was half of the crowd were European German, and the other half of the crowd were Israeli. And it was unbelievable to see how the non-Jewish crowd they had fire in their eyes. They are so scared of the rise of anti-Semitism. And it's really something that actually non-Jews connect to very, very, very much. I've spoken to other groups, older groups, and you see it. You know, people relate to their own stories. They have other stories. You know, there are other persecuted people in the world. Let's not forget, the Jewish people are not the only ones who are being persecuted or have been through horrors. So we need to respect other people's tragedies, and believe you me, they exist all over the world. So yeah, this story definitely gives a platform for non-Jews to relate to.
Sorry, where were the letters written? Where did your grandfather write the letters?
Okay, so yeah, so just practically, so he started in 1934. He left Germany when he was about 21, and the letters, and he kept copies of his own letters as well. So he started writing to his parents and his younger brother. He was in Belgium initially, just wrote some in Belgium. Then he moved to Holland. Then he moved to England. And eventually in 1936 he arrived in South Africa. He started in Cape Town and he moved to Johannesburg. So there are 2,500 letters.
So how did he collect them then? Because if they were written, and he must have gone through a lot, how did he take them with?
Yeah, he kept them over the 40-year period. You know, he received letters, right? So he kept them, and he was very studious. I get in this trunk or whatever. You know, I'm not sure exactly how, but yeah, he was a real yekker. You know,
it's amazing.
Yeah, he was a real yekker. He kept every copy.
So wherever he went.
Yeah, and these are very thin papers. I don't know if you remember those thin papers. So when we opened it up, I was so nervous they would disintegrate. So one of the first things I did was took them to Yad Vashem, who also, they were incredible. They've digitized all of them, cataloged them all. It's a huge operation.
You have to understand that he kept copies of his letters that he wrote.
Did you get them from other people?
He copied his letters. He copied his own, so he didn't have to get them back. Before he sent them, he had a copy.
I never understand how people manage to photographs and letters and things like it.
It's in the blood. I mean, you'll see, if you read the book, you'll see it's in the family history. We've got a family tree going back 15 generations. And it was recorded, and a lot of the letters talk about how studious and how important my great-grandfather encouraged my grandfather to record that history. They had historian DNA, I guess. So they were very, very committed to documenting things and keeping things. Yeah.
That's amazing.
But there's a quick video as well. And
Let's see that.
Yeah, let's put that up.
Okay, we're going to show a short film, and then you're invited to have some refreshments outside and to come through and see the exhibition.